What's up? It's your boy Carcino here, and let's talk about it. This is the truth behind the beef with Steely Dan and Peter Gunz and Lord Tariq. Uh, Steely Dan, and rest in peace to Walter Becker, had produced a lot of songs that were classics over the years. Like most of you younger guys have heard their music in your favorite rapper songs, like samples and chords back from the 90s and all that time. But here's the thing about Steely Dan and that whole situation. Um, Dan Becker, Steely Dan, what's his name? Walter Becker and what's his name? Fagan. Those two guys, they're not too fond of hip hop. Let's just put it that way. Donald Fagan. And the thing about them is, because they weren't a fan of hip hop, they're not fan of anybody really using their music, but they fans of getting paid. Let me put it that way. So Jimmy Iovine was clearing some samples that he wanted to get, or was it Clive? I think it was Clive Davis, and Clive wanted to do this deal to clear some samples from some songs they had, and the Locks on one of their albums on that Money Power Respect, they had a sample that they wanted cleared, and Steely Dan was going to be taken care of through this process. So they talked to Puffy, and they were going to get it done through him, and then Puff pulled out of the deal. Now, Peter Gunz and Lord Tariq from the Bronx, and Peter Gunn, Lord Tariq was like, yo, we need to make a group, put out some raps. Just had, they had a beat and wasn't nothing to it. They just put it out as an anthem, to champion the Bronx, because they felt like, man, nobody really repping the Bronx like they saw Queens and Brooklyn right now. We need to put up that anthem. So, and it was just an uptown anthem. That's all it really was. That song Deja Vu. And people decided it started to hit the DJs, and the DJs pushed it. Whether it was Clue, whether it was no matter who it was, all the DJs had that song. Doom, 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 doom. It was a hot beat. It was a hot track, and Peter Guns was that time. And see, the thing about these guys was Lord Tariq and Peter Guns. Both of them was they really from the streets. Like people knew them. They wasn't somebody that was Hollywood that they dressing up to put somewhere. So that once the song got all this weight, everybody wants to get them. Puff was like, man, that song's hot. And he liked the song. But he's like, man, I can't even touch it because what's his name? Jimmy Iovine, he putting up this money because he wanted on his label, on the Interscope. He wanted this record and wanted to put the album out. Then it became a bidding war over who was gonna get the song. Now, back in the day, Steely Dan sued uh, De La Soul for the song they had called what was that? I Know, the song I Know that they made, and it came from Steely Dan's Peg song. So now they got the song they did called Black Cow, which this song comes from, Deja Vu. And here we go again. They don't like rap, but they love getting paid off of it. So they made De La Soul pay through the nose. And and this thing with Jada Kiss and they trying to clear this sample with them, Puff had a deal on the table that they was really happy with. And he pulled it because he's like, I'm not gonna use that sample because he's like, I can't use that sample because these kids already made this record already. These dudes over there, they made this record. It's hot, but they had already made this record, and Steely Dan was really probably ticked off about it, and they went in for everything to clear the label, to clear the song. They wanted 100% of the publishing plus $105,000 up front, and that's 8 times the typical industry rate for a song. I mean, but to give up all the publishing of the record is like, are you serious? So they agreed. They gave up 100% publishing and $105,000 because they got a deal on the table for the album and they got like a million some out of the deal. So they figured, what's that? What they didn't know is that they gave up writing credits too to the song. So when it says written by, it's written by Walter Becker and Donald Fagen. They were still cool. Not really. Now, today, they're not. But back then, they were still cool with it. They was doing shows off the songs. Puff had them doing their thing on MTV, and they wanted Steely Dan to be a part of it. And they told Puff, like, yo, hook it up with, see if Steely Dan want to do it. They can come out and do their Black Cow song, and then we'll go right into our song. They didn't want anything to do with any rappers, and they tried to call them. They got no feedback, nothing from them. So Peter Gunz said he was a big Steely Dan fan, so it really hurt him when they, like, man, they really ain't trying to deal with us like that. So they toured the album forever. And when they toured the album and everything was slowing down from the record, they was like, okay, now let's put out the album. And the album didn't pop because it ran its course. People were tired of the song. It played out. Now, by the time the album come out, they were thinking, man, because this is different times. Had that song come out now, it'd have been like Cardi B when she gave Bodak Yellow. I don't know if y'all remember, but yeah, when he made Bodak Yellow, when she made Bodak Yellow, rather. Mm, mm, mm. I'm sitting here watching this game at the same time. So if I'm pausing, that's my bad. I'm watching this doggone game. I just saw something that just really blew my mind. But wow. Yeah, since Bodak Yellow. So they sitting over there at this time when you drop a single like that, you either gotta come up with another single or the album gotta fall. That it just can't, it has to happen in that order. It's like, okay, we here, okay, album gotta come out now. So the whole process was done differently than how many people, process it. When they put the album out, they had really no single. They were still going off of Deja Vu, and it didn't do nothing. And then the labels was like, "Look, we wasted this money and this and this," but they made all this money touring, doing the shows, so they had bread. They had some money, so they was like, "Man, you know what? Screw this record business, man. The record label's tripping, man. We don't need this. We just they just walked away. They had made some money, so they was thinking, whatever, man. We made some money. We already rich. We don't even need this. It's whatever, man. Screw the record business. They all crooks. Plus, you gotta understand, Peter Gunz is good in the streets. Like he had a couple of problems with some dudes, because he was really sliding up in dudes' wives. He wasn't lying. Peter Gunz, man, he a guy named Taquan, his he didn't marry her. I mean, at the time they weren't married. All right, he was sliding up in somebody he knew, girl. They weren't even engaged, I don't think, but they was dating for years. But after it, after this thing with Peter Gunz, and there's a conflict or whatever, but he couldn't do nothing to Peter Gunz because Peter Gunz got a lot of people from the Bronx that was rolling with him. But after that, he went and married her. So I guess he helped her in the end. But dude ended up marrying her. Like, look, we getting married because you ain't cheating on me no more. She was like, well, put a ring on it then, and then I won't go hitting nobody else. So that's one way to get it done. So, no, wow. Yeah, that's about it. Because that's about all that happened there. Steely Dan got a whole bunch of money for songs that they really didn't have nothing to do with. So that's about it. I'm done. That's it. That's all.